It's silly thinking you can fight oppression with a vote. I'm so woke, I got sleep deprivation. Belly of the beast giving birth to a nation. You know how I feel to have culture and they take it. It'll never be peace. Tell them free the reservation till it's backwards. They don't know that they exist no more. Ever try reaching out for help and you just get ignored? Sentenced for killing, he was just a boy. Niggas poor, what we living for? Life a gamble, it's like 10-4. Police hands around your neck, they just hit record. We in war, man, this ain't the norm. But you don't know how I feel to be black. Yeah, you don't know how I feel to be black. Yeah, you don't know how I feel to be black. Yeah, you don't know how I feel to be black. Yeah, you don't know. Mama on the stage crying. She just lost her only son to gang violence. Pops level 4 yard talking through the vents. Have you ever tried to hug your loved ones through a fence? Have you ever been hated just because your skin? Have you ever worked all week and couldn't pay your rent? Life a trip. Walking back, car for God, Alex, from where hell or bury your kids. Either way, we gotta suffer and they just get rich. Like a bitch, why I waste time telling you that? Cause if you ain't a nigga like me, you don't know how I feel to be black. Yeah, you don't know how I feel to be black. Yeah, you don't know how I feel to be black. Yeah, you don't know how I feel to be black. Yeah, you don't know. They said free the Palestinians, then celebrate the death of Native Indians. How these other races gonna take us serious? They don't. It's silly thinking you can fight oppression with a vote. Tell them free the reservation till it's backwards. They don't know that they exist no more. Ever try reaching out for help and you just get ignored? Pick up vices like drugs, your child fill a void. They get a youth life sentence for killing, he was just a boy. Niggas poor, what we living for? Life a gamble, it's like 10-4. Man, this ain't the norm. But you don't know how I feel to be black. Yeah, you don't know how I feel to be black. Yeah, you don't know how I feel to be black.
Just don't press anything for a minute. Let it catch up. You click them all over it or start lagging trying to catch up.
Shalom, shalom. Can y'all hear me? Hey, Matam Yad, throw a one in the chat if you can hear me. It look like it's going. It's going good. Salaki, I'm gonna let a couple people get in here. Salaki, we only streaming on YouTube right now. Salaki. Okay, Most High Christ. Most High Christ. Yahba Shem Yahshua brought a thumb to the brothers. Yahweh Shemal, a thumb by Shem Yahshua to the sisters. I'm Preacher Officer Karan Yala, the ISUBK under Commander General Yohana. Welcome to another installment of Criminals of the Caucasus. Salaki to my brothers and sisters for the hiatus. You understand? But we back. You understand? I'm gonna try to push these out as much as I can, Lord allow. You understand? We gonna get into it, man. Let's talk about it. This episode 16, you understand? We talking about none other than the criminal and serial unaliver himself, Richard Kuklinski, excuse me. Said look a little bit blurry. Hold on, y'all. 1 second. Salaki, Nabakar, Yabba Shema Shabakatah. Congratulations on that name, Mike. You know what I'm saying? So look, we gonna get into it, man. Richard Kuklinski, right? Or Kuklinski, right? A Polish mafia hitman. Let me share my screen. You understand that did unspeakable acts, right? And real quick, y'all, just a disclaimer, right? Hold on 1 second. Disclaimer, right? You understand? This Criminals of the Caucasus series is not to glorify these Caucasian criminals by no means. You understand? I'm merely doing this series to show Blacks, Latinos, and Native American men, women, and children that criminality is not our culture. You understand? Get them white boys back their culture and grab hold to yours. You understand? Our culture is wearing these fly-ass mitris. You understand? Being in decency and order, being a respectable people. You understand? Being people who despise drug dealers. You understand? Prostitution and everything else that the white man has taught us what is black culture, which is a goddamn lie. You understand? But I do these Criminals of the Caucasus episodes on this series to show you that everything Black, Latino, and Native American Indians have learned that's on the left-hand side, that's contrary to how the Lord wants us to live, is literally what we've learned from Caucasian people. You understand? Hence the name of the series, Criminals of the Caucasus, because Caucasian people, their culture is criminality and ours is righteousness. It's a quick disclaimer. You understand? So let's get into it, right? Richard Kuklinski. Did she find that mouse? If you could find that mouse for me so I ain't got to use this. Richard Leonard Kuklinski, born April 11th, 1935, died March 5th, 2006. Also known by his nickname, the Iceman, was an American criminal and leader of a New Jersey-based burglary ring. He engaged in criminal activities for most of his adult life, which began when he distributed pirated pornography and eventually escalated to at least 5 murders committed between 1980 and 1984. Dude caught one body per year damn near, but he did way more than that. You understand? Let me see if this shit working. No, this one ain't working. Yeah, I don't think I remember using this one. Oh, Salaki, y'all, give me 1 second. Bear with me, Baba Kasha. Grab me a book or something. That's probably why I didn't. Okay, this one. Grab me a book. This one's moving a little bit better, but I need something stable up under it. 1 second, y'all. It says, excuse me. He engaged in criminal activities for most of his adult life. Okay, this is perfect. The water. For most of his adult life, which began when he distributed pirated pornography and eventually escalated to at least 5 murders committed between 1980 and 1984. So not only was he a robber or a thief or a burglar, you understand? He stole pornography and sold that as well as him being a killer. His name derives from his freezing the body of one of his victims in an attempt to disguise the time of death. Boy, these white boys, diabolical. At the time of his crimes, Kuklinski lived with his wife and children in the New Jersey suburb of Dumont. His family stated that they were unaware of his crimes, and I believe his family. I don't think they knew what the hell this goddamn devil was doing. Just like you don't like these people didn't know what Jeffrey Dahmer was fucking doing. You understand? Excuse my French, right? Because the white man, him being the devil that the Bible speaks of, he has deceived the public into believing that he's an upstanding citizen. Meanwhile, behind closed doors, he doing all manner of evil. Big shout out to Officer of 5,000 Yawasop, you understand, that blaze on a Caucasian man every goddamn Saturday and show the public that the Caucasian man is the man with child pornography on his goddamn laptop, you understand, or in his phone, because that's where the majority of child pornography exists, in the possession of older Caucasian white men. But yet, when they go outside in the public, they seem like they upstanding citizens. You understand? The white man is the devil that the Bible speaks of. And he's deceived everybody into believing that he's a kind, upstanding citizen, when really he's just a criminal and a sexual deviant. You understand? Kuklinski's modus operandi, which is his MO, you understand, or what he's known to do, was to lure men to clandestine meetings with the promise of lucrative business deals, then kill them and steal their money. Don't that sound like the goddamn devil? Huh? Trick you into coming to a business meeting that you think is all about prosperity or a way to, you know, to make money off of one of your businesses. And then he unalive you and take all your goddamn money. Right? He also killed 2 associates to prevent them from becoming informants. Eventually, Kuklinski came to the attention of law enforcement when an investigation into his burglary ring linked him to several murders, since he was the last person to have seen five missing men alive. An 18-month-long undercover operation led to his arrest in December 1986. In 1988, he was convicted of 4 murders and sentenced to life imprisonment. In 2003, Kuklinski received an additional 30-year sentence after confessing to the 1980 murder of a New York City police detective. Right, so he got another 30 years for confessing to killing a cop. After his murder convictions, Kuklinski gave interviews to writers, prosecutors, criminologists, and psychiatrists. He claimed to have murdered anywhere from 100 to 200 men, often in gruesome fashion. None of these additional murders have been corroborated. In 2020, ATF Special Agent Dominic Poliforni, excuse me if I butchered that, said, "I don't believe he killed 200 people. I don't believe he killed 100 people. I'll go as far as 15, maybe. Shit. I believe he killed every last 200 of them people." You know why? Because the white man is a murderer. You understand? That's exactly what he does. He unalives people at will. Let's continue. Salakia. Kuklinski also claimed to have worked as a hitman for the mafia. He further claimed to have participated in several famous killings, including the disappearance and presumed murder of Teamsters president Jimmy Hoffa. Law enforcement, former mafioso and organized crime experts have expressed skepticism about Kuklinski's claimed mafia ties. He was the subject of 3 HBO documentaries aired in 1992, 2001, and 2003, several biographies, and a 2012 feature film, The Iceman. Y'all, if you haven't seen that movie, The Iceman, go watch that movie. That is an outstanding movie, and I will show you exactly how evil Caucasian people are. Go watch that movie. But it says he claimed to have participated in Teamsters Jimmy Hoffa's murder and disappearance. But it said, let me go back. It says, it said law enforcement, former mafioso, organized crime experts have expressed skepticism about Kuklinski's claimed mob ties. I don't doubt it at all. You understand? Now, if you go watch the movie The Iceman, you understand? In that movie, and I'm not saying that everything is accurate in that movie, but if you go watch that movie, it gives you in that movie, it gives you it gives you a personal relationship between Roy DeMeo, which was a mob boss, and Richard Kuklinski all throughout the movie. You understand? I believe exactly that he had mob ties and fulfilling contract hits with the mobs in this, right? If you know anything about the Italian mafia, right? They built their organized crime syndicate off of honor and respect. But if you actually look into those people, none of them had honor and respect for anything, you understand, that they stood for. Meaning, if you know anything about the mafia, you can't sanction a hit on another made man without getting it okayed by the commission. You understand? Or their democracy of criminals. But one thing a lot of the mob bosses did do, they went against that rule and they unalived bosses. John Gotti, you understand, in orchestrating the hit of Paul Castellano is one example of it. But in order to go against getting somebody unalived in the mafia, a lot of times they used outside parties to actually orchestrate and carry out these murders, and they paid them a handsome sum of money under the table without the rest of the families knowing what was going on. So I absolutely believe that Richard Kuklinski was a mafia hitman. Let's get into his personal life. Richard Kuklinski was born April 11th, 1935, in his family's apartment on 4th Street in Jersey City, New Jersey. His father, Stanley Kuklinski, was a Polish immigrant from Karwacz, Masovian Voivodeship, who worked as a brakeman on the Delta, Lackawanna, and Western Railroad. His mother, Anna Cecilia McNally, was from Harsimus, a devoutly Catholic first-generation Irish American who worked in a meat packing plant. Kuklinski was the second of 4 children. According to Kuklinski, his father was a violent alcoholic who beat his children regularly and sometimes beat his wife. He abandoned the family while Kuklinski was still a child, but came back periodically, usually drunk, and his returns were often followed by more beatings for his son. In 1941, beatings by his father caused the death of Kuklinski's older brother, 7-year-old Florian Kuklinski. Kuklinski's parents hid the cause of the child's death from authorities, saying he had fallen down a flight of stairs. Kuklinski's younger brother, Joseph Michael Kuklinski, 1944 to 2003, was convicted in 1970 of raping 12-year-old Pamela Dial and murdering her by throwing her off the top of a 5-story building. When asked about his brother's crimes, Kuklinski replied, "We come from the same father." God damn. Do y'all hear that? Do you hear that? Richard Kuklinski, which is a convicted murderer, robber, right? His brother murdered and raped a 12-year-old girl in 1970, right? Now, mind you, Joseph Kuklinski was born in 1944. He did this and was convicted in 1970 of raping a 12-year-old. I don't know exactly what age he was, right? But this man was at least in his 20s when he raped this 12-year-old girl, which the age don't even effing matter. You understand? But when he was asked about his brother's crimes, Kuklinski replied, "We come from the same father." Meaning, and this is what I'm taking the meaning of, because Kuklinski meant, look, our daddy beat the shit out of us and we became evil because of what he did to us. But that ain't what it was. They come from the same father, meaning they have that same criminal gene of their father. They're a deviant just like their father. They did like the scriptures, I'm paraphrasing, right? When you look at who you are according to your genealogy, you are who your father is. Richard Kuklinski and his brother, what was his name? And his brother Joseph Michael Kuklinski, they were one and the same, just like their fathers. You understand? Evil, disgusting human beings, just like Caucasian men are. I'm going to keep reading. Kuklinski's mother was also reportedly abusive. She would beat him with the broom handles, sometimes breaking the handle on his body during the assaults, and other household objects. He recalled an incident during his preteen years when his mother attempted to kill his father with a kitchen knife. As a zealot Catholic, Kuklinski's mother believed that the stern discipline should be accompanied by strict religious upbringings. So he was raised in Roman Catholic Church and served as an altar boy. Kuklinski later rejected Catholicism and regarded his mother as a cancer who destroyed everything she touched. Even Kuklinski knew that Caucasian people are terrible parents. Remember, his brother was raised as a Roman Catholic as well, and he eventually began to rape little girls. He was 25? God damn. His brother was 25? His brother was 25 years old when he raped a 12-year-old little girl. The white man is the devil that the Bible speaks of. Kuklinski and his first wife, Linda, had 2 sons. While working for a trucking company, he met Barbara Padrisi, secretary at the same firm. Richard and Linda divorced, and he married Barbara in September 1961 and had 2 daughters and a son. Kuklinski's family and their neighbors in Dumont, New Jersey were unaware of his criminal activities and instead believed he was a successful businessman, And when you go watch the movie The Iceman, they literally are telling you the same thing what we're reading in the movie Iceman. His family and his neighbors did not know that this nigga was an evil SOB. He looked like a upstanding, successful businessman. He eventually started getting a lot of money with doing these murders for hire. You understand? To his wife, she thought business was picking up. Meanwhile, this dude is unaliving people for a whole lot of money, right? Barbara described him as a wholesale distributor and said he employed an accountant. She did suspect that some of his income was from illegal activities due to their lifestyle and the large amounts of cash he often possessed. However, given his volatility, she never expressed these worries to him, instead maintaining a don't ask questions philosophy when it came to his business, life, or associates. If Kuklinski suddenly left the house in the middle of the night, Barbara would never ask where he was going. On June 6, 1984, Kuklinski filed for bankruptcy, listing debts of over $697,000 and assets of only $300. Man, look, his wife knew he was a goddamn criminal, but she didn't ask no questions because she didn't want to know the truth, because she didn't give a damn about the truth. The Kuklinskis divorced in 1993 when Richard was in prison. Barbara stated the divorce was for money reasons. She continued to visit him in prison, but only about once a year. It was only for money reasons. She didn't give a damn that he was a murderer. Salaki. Barbara later described her husband's behavior as altering between good Richie and bad Richie. Good Richie was a hardworking provider and an affectionate father and a loving husband who enjoyed time with his family. Barbara remembered that when Merrick became seriously ill soon after she was born, Richard stayed up night after night to care for her. In contrast, bad Richie would appear at regular intervals, sometimes one day after another, other times not appearing for months. He did the same shit his daddy did. Only thing, and he probably was beating them children and her as well. You understand? You ever heard the saying, the apple don't fall too far from the tree? Richard was an evil bastard, just like his goddamn daddy, right? Appearing for months, was prone to unpredictable, fits of rage, smashing furniture, and being violent to his family. During these periods, Kuklinski was physically abusive to his wife, breaking her nose 3 times, and once tried to run her over with a car. God damn. That dude was just like his daddy. The white man is the devil that the Bible speaks of. His abuse also caused her to have several miscarriages. Boy, this nigga done killed his children by abusing this woman. He was also emotionally abusive towards his children, but according to Barbara, he never laid a hand on them because she threatened to kill him if he did. I doubt that shit. That nigga wasn't scared of you, bitch. He beat the shit out of you to where you had several miscarriages. Excuse my French. Merrick reported that Kuklinski once killed her dog in front of her to punish her for coming home late. God damn. Barbara said that she had once told Kuklinski she wanted to see other people. He responded by silently jabbing her from behind with a hunting knife so sharp she did not even feel the blade go in. Boy, what? He told her that she belonged to him and that if she tried to leave, he would kill her entire family. When Barbara began screaming at him in anger, he choked her into consciousness. Merrick also remembered a number of road rage incidents involving her father. Man, hey, look, I'm not the smartest nigga in the world, right? Sir, I'm not the smartest nigga in the world by no means, right? But if this nigga did all of this, man, she knew that nigga was a serial killer. She talking about we ain't know nothing about it. He stabbed you. He beat you so much that you had several miscarriages, not just one. You had several. You mean to tell me it didn't cross your mind that he would do this to other people outside of the household? Come on, man. Come on, man. This is insane. Let's get into his criminal history. Early crimes. In the mid-1960s, Kuklinski worked at a Manhattan firm lab. There, he assessed master copies of popular movies and made bootleg recordings of Disney animated films to sell. Nigga, what? This is piracy? If you go in a movie theater, right, and go watch a movie, they gonna give you the law of piracy before the movie come on. Meaning you can't illegally record this movie and distribute it to make your own copies. Like, what's his name? The brother that just went to jail for piracy, Omi and the Hellcat. The nigga Omi and the Hellcat made millions of dollars and they accused him of piracy. That boy got, 3 years in federal prison? It's a federal crime. Richard Kuklinski was doing this shit during the civil rights movement. Kuklinski also discovered a lucrative market for tapes of pornographic films, making and distributing copies as a regular source of income. Through the pornography business, Kuklinski became associated with members of the Gambino crime family, including Soldier, Roy DeMeo. Remember, I told you he had a relationship with Roy DeMeo. Excuse me, he wasn't a boss, he was one of the soldiers. I think Roy DeMeo was a captain, if I ain't mistaken. It was during this period that he was arrested for passing a bad check, the only crime he was charged with prior to the arrest for murder. Kuklinski was photographed and fingerprinted, but charges were dropped after he agreed to pay back the money he owed. Several of his known victims were men he met through trafficking, pornography, and drugs. So not only did he steal movies and pornographic movies, which is a deviant, you understand? He sold drugs. He was a murderer, a drug dealer, a sexual deviant. He abused his goddamn family. You understand? Oh, man, this is insane. He also headed a burglary ring with associates Gary Smith, Barbara Debner, Daniel Debner, and Percy House. On January 30th, 1980, Kuklinski killed 42-year-old George Malaban during a meeting to sell him tapes. Malaban was reportedly carrying $27,000 at the time. Nigga, do you know how much $27,000 is in 1980? Matter of fact, let me look up this real quick. How much is $27,000 in 1980 worth in 2026? That's about $109,000 in today's money. Over $109,000 in today's money. His body was discovered a week later, on February 5th, after Kuklinski had placed him in a 55-gallon drum and left it near Chemotex chemical plant in Jersey City. He cut the tendons of Malaban's leg in order to fit the corpse into the barrel. This was the first murder linked to Kuklinski. Malaban's brother told police officers that Malaban was meeting Kuklinski the day he disappeared. After a plea bargain, Kuklinski admitted to shooting Mataban 5 times, saying it was due to business. God damn. Paul Hoffman. And these are all of the people that Kuklinski is has been convicted of unaliving. On April 29, 1982, Kuklinski met Paul Hoffman, a 51-year-old pharmacist who occasionally browsed the store. You know what that means? He wanted to go buy them pornography videos. In Patterson, New Jersey, a storefront with a back room hiding a wide variety of stolen items for sale. Hoffman hoped to make a big profit by purchasing stolen Tagament, a popular drug to treat peptic ulcers, to resell through his pharmacy. Believing Kuklinski could supply the drugs, Hoffman badgered him to make a deal. He was last seen on his way to meet Kuklinski with $25,000 to buy prescription drugs. After a plea bargain, Kuklinski admitted to killing Hoffman. He stated that he lured Hoffman into a rented garage and tried to shoot him, but the gun jammed. Instead, he beat Hoffman to death with a tire iron, then stuffed the body into a 55-gallon drum and left it outside a motel in Little Ferry. One day, Kuklinski noticed that the drum had disappeared, but he never learned what had happened to Hoffman's body. What happened to it? Hoffman's body was never recovered. Jesus. Gary Smith. By the early 1980s, Kuklinski's burglary ring was under investigation by law enforcement. In December 1982, Percy House, a gang member, was arrested. House agreed to inform on Kuklinski and was placed in protective custody. Warrants were also issued for the arrest of 2 other gang members, 37-year-old Gary Smith and Daniel Deppner. Kuklinski urged them to lie low and rented them a room at the York Motel in North Bergen. Smith left the motel to visit his daughter. Kuklinski feared that Smith, after he discussed going straight, might become an informer. According to the testimony of Barbara Deppner, Kuklinski, Daniel Deppner, and House, who was in jail at the time, decided that Smith had to be killed. Kuklinski fed Smith a hamburger laced with cyanide. Nigga, go watch that goddamn movie. If you go watch the movie The Iceman, they killed somebody in the club using cyanide. But when this was slow to work, Daniel strangled him with a lamp cord. According to forensic pathologist Michael Baden, Smith's death would probably have been attributed to something non-homicidal in nature, such as a drug overdose, if Kuklinski had relied solely on the poison, meaning he would have died anyway, but it took too long, so they strangled him to death. However, the legator, I don't know how to pronounce that word, excuse me, marked around Smith's neck, and the fact that the body had been deliberately hidden suggested to investigators that he was murdered. And if they ain't jumped the gun, he would have just been, he died of poison. After Barbara did not enter with a car to move Smith's body, Kuklinski and Daniel placed it between the mattress and box spring in a motel room. Over the next 4 days, a number of patrons rented the room, and although they found the smell odd, most did not think to look between the mattress and box spring. Finally, on December 27, 1982, after more complaints from guests about the smell, the motel manager investigated and discovered the decomposing corpse. Well, this nigga was diabolical. You understand? Daniel Deppner, Louis Masgay, he unalived a few people. Hold on, Salaki. I ain't gonna go over every last one of them. Let's talk about Jimmy Hoffa. Jimmy Hoffa, in his 2001 HBO interview, Kuklinski said he knew who killed 62-year-old former Teamsters Union President Jimmy Hoffa. Kuklinski did not claim any personal involvement in Hoffa's disappearance and presumed murder and did not identify any culprit. However, he later claimed he killed Hoffa. This is crazy. In his account, Kuklinski was part of a 4-man kidnapping team. They kidnapped Hoffa in Detroit while they were in the car. Kuklinski killed Hoffa by stabbing him with a large knife. He said he drove Hoffa's corpse from Detroit to New Jersey junkyard. It was placed in a drum, set on fire, and then burned in the junkyard. Later, fearing accomplice might snitch, the drum was dug up, placed in the trunk of a car, compacted into a cube, and sold to Japan as scrap metal with hundreds of other compacted cars. Deputy Chief Bob Busino, who worked on the Kuklinski case, said they took a body from Detroit, where they have one of the biggest lakes in the world, and drove it all the way back to New Jersey. Come on, Busino added. We don't believe a lot of things, he said. Former FBI Special Agent Robert Garrity stated that Kuklinski's admission to killing Hoffa was a hoax, and that Kuklinski was never a suspect in Hoffa's disappearance, adding, I never heard of him. Anthony Bruno, said he investigated Kuklinski's alleged involvement in Hoffa's disappearance, but felt his story didn't check out. He opined Kuklinski made the confession to add extra value to his brand and omitted the story from his biography of Kuklinski. Investigation and arrest. Kuklinski came to the attention of Pat Kane, an officer with the New Jersey State Police, when an informant helped Kane connect him to a gang carrying out burglaries in northern New Jersey. Kane built a file on Kuklinski. Eventually, 5 unsolved homicides, Hoffman, Smith, Debner, Masgay, and Malabad, were linked to Kuklinski because he was the last person to see each of them alive. A joint task force and law enforcement officials titled Operation Iceman was created between the New Jersey Attorney General's Office and the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, ATF, dedicated to arresting and convicting Kuklinski. The ATF was involved due to Kuklinski's firearm sales. This nigga was selling guns as well. Let's jump down. Let me see. ATF Special Agent Dominic Palafrone went undercover for 18 months to apprehend Kuklinski, stating in 1985, Kane and Palafrone worked with Phil Salamini, a close longtime friend of Kuklinski, to get Palafrone close to Kuklinski. Posing as a mafia-connected criminal named Dominic Provenzano, Palafrone purchased a handgun muffler combination from Kuklinski. In recordings, Kuklinski discussed a corpse he kept in a freezer for 2.5 years. He told Palafrone he preferred poison, saying, "Why be messy? You do it nice and calm." He asked Palafrone if he could supply him with pure cyanide. Palafrone told Kuklinski he wanted to hire him to murder a wealthy Jewish cocaine dealer, and recorded Kuklinski speaking in detail about how he would do it. Kuklinski was also recorded boasting he killed many by putting cyanide on his hamburger, by putting cyanide on his hamburger, and of his plans to kill a couple of rats, Barbara Debney and Percy House. On December 17th, 1986, Kuklinski met Polifrane to get cyanide for a planned murder, which was to be an attempt on an undercover police officer. After the recorded conversation with Polifrane, Kuklinski went for a walk. He tested Polifrane's purported cyanide on a stray dog using a hamburger as bait, and said it with and saw it was not poison. Suspicious, Kuklinski decided not to go through with the planned murder and went home instead. He was arrested at a roadblock 2 hours later. Kuklinski's wife was charged with interfering with her husband's arrest. Officers discovered a firearm in the vehicle, and she was charged with possession of a firearm because she was a passenger. I ain't gonna get into the rest of this, right? Salakia. Eventually, he was tried and convicted. Salakia, why they call him Iceman? They call him Iceman because of, when I was reading earlier, Salakia. I'm gonna share my screen. Hold on 1 second. They call him Iceman because I was reading earlier. He reportedly had froze a body in an attempt to like throw off the time of death for this person that he unalived. But they called him Iceman because he was known for freezing bodies, right? So let me get into these scripts real quick. But ultimately, he was tried and convicted of murder, received a life sentence, and died in prison in 2006. Like, y'all bear with me this. My mouse is moving slow. The book of Proverbs, chapter 3 and verse 31. Envy thou not the oppressor and choose none of his ways. You understand? The Lord don't want us to envy the oppressor and choose his ways. And the ways of the oppressor is everything illegal. Rape, robbery, murder, extortion, you understand, and a slew of other crimes that Richard Kuklinski, not only him, his father, his brother, and also his cronies in the world indulged in. You understand? Blacks, Latinos, and Native American Indians, we got to understand this. The Lord does not want us to live like these Caucasian people. The Lord did not give us a culture of being a goddamn criminal. He gave us a culture of being a righteous and upstanding people, and for the rest of the people to look at us and say, damn, this is a smart group of people. You understand? What people has had the Lord so nigh unto them, I'm paraphrasing them, by watching us observing our laws. Blacks, Latinos, and Native American Indians, understand this. Our culture is not to be a criminal. That's the white boys' culture. Let them indulge in that, you understand? And you come back to the law, statutes, and commandments and coming into the ISUBK and being taught by priests who dedicated their lives to making the Lord proud of us as a people. Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shabrak a thumb to the brothers. Yahweh Shemal a thumb by Hashem Yahweh Shah to the sisters. Shalom, Israel.